Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Networking with Neaz Arefin. I hope you guys doing fantastic. In this lab we are going to talk about the MAB authentication with 82.1x protocol. So there is a radius server in the Cisco ISE service engine in this lab, and the switch here is the radius authenticator, and E0/3 and E0/2 will be tagged with 82.1x. MAB is also based on 82.1x, which is the IEEE standard. So MAB is for network access for the endpoint devices, and MAB stands for MAC authentication bypass. So by the naming convention, you understand that it registered the MAC address of the endpoint devices, and based on the MAC registry, it gives the necessary permissions or restrictions. So in this lab, PC1 is not permitted to the outside. However, PC2 requires to go to the outside. That means it has the permission, and the permission will be granted here in the radius server inside the Cisco ISE, and again the switch will be the authenticator. Well, keep watching the video. The lab has been designed in 5 steps. I hope you're gonna like it. If you have any questions, please leave your comment below. Thank you. So the first step is to set up the ISE server. I have double clicked and bring the VNC console, and then where it says localhost login, I would type setup, enter host name, I would say ISE, enter the IP address. Now if you noticed, I'm using entirely one network here, which is 10.1.10.0/24 mask, which is the traditional class C mask. So for the ISE server, I'm using 10.5, that would be 10.1.10.5. I will be typing 10.1.10.5. Do not type the net mask here because it will give you option. Here you go, 255.255.255.0. enter IP default gateway. Now my default gateway will be this 10.1.10.1. so that will be our default gateway right now, 10.1.10.11, because the traffic will be going via this way from the ASA's inside interface ETH1. So I'll be typing 10.1.10.1. Do you want to confirm the IPv6 address? No, we are not using any IPv6. Enter default DNS domain. I'll be using Google, so I would say google.com. Enter primary name server. That means the primary DNS resolution server. I'll be also using the Google DNS resolution here, so 8.8.8.8. enter. And the secondary name server, I can use my routers, and that will be 192.168.1.1. 192.168.1.1. okay, so I made a mistake. I should have been given a name here, but anyway, 192.168.1.1. no, enter NTP server time. So I will leave the default, which is time.nist.gov. enter another NTP. no. Enter system time zone UTC. Now we can leave as it is. Enable SSH service. yes. Enter username and admin. This is important. We need to note it down somewhere, so I will put admin here. If I do not put admin, if you notice, by default it is taking the admin, so I will hit enter, and then there is some password criteria. One has to be caps and there has to be some number, so I would type I caps SE 123. Again, I'll confirm that I caps SE 123. Bringing up network interface. We must wait here patiently, because in some cases it might take half an hour to do so, to bring those interfaces up. So it is working. By the way, if you notice, it is working. It is pinging the gateway. It says gateway ping failed, retry, and we know the reason, because we have not configured the ASA yet. The reason why it is failing, and it will keep failing unless we configure the ASA. But anyway, we can configure only one interface, which is ETH1 for ASA1, just for the sake of this pinging test. So let's go to the ASA. We'll just change the name. We'll save it. Now let's get back to the ISE, and we can say yes. Enter IP address 10.1.10.5. yes, it is 10.1.10.5. so I would say enter. Yes, mask is okay. Default gateway is 10.1.10.1. okay. Bringing up the network interface. Let's wait for a few seconds. It says pinging the gateway. Let's see. So there is no error message. That means the pinging was successful. Well, the pinging to the primary name server is going to be fail, because we have not configured the outside interface, we have not configured NAT, nothing else, so we will say no. It says sync with NTP server failed. If I want to configure again, I would say no. Now it says do not use Ctrl+C from this point. Now it's gonna take roughly half an hour to 15 minutes to configure all this and bringing all those interface and do all this configuration. So we do not have any other option rather than waiting patiently. You might also encounter this screen after like 15-20 minutes later. This might happen and it will be resolved automatically. It is still setting up. Now almost after half an hour I see IC login. Now we can log in via the credit that we have created. So our login ID was admin and the password was ISE123. ISE123. Now we are inside the Cisco ISE, but as of now the console is up. All the application server and other things are still not up because it needs to be configured. We can check by saying show application status ISE. Give it a minute. Oh, that's good. Database server running, but application server is still not running. Also a lot of service is not running, so we have to keep checking on this. Everything has to be running. So again we have to wait for a few minutes. Once it's been set up, the rest part is pretty quick. So application server says initializing. It cannot be initializing. We need to wait until it says up and running or running. Okay, now as we see, the application server is running as expected. So our Cisco ISE setup is done. However, we can verify by show user status. Okay, I can see the user. Now in order to connect to this ISE server via the hypertext transfer protocol, which is a browser, I need to set up this computer. I need to set up the network adapter for this PC2 or PC1, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to set up the PC2. Now the IP block will be 10.1.10. okay, now the IP will be 10.1.10.4/24 mask. PC is loading. Logging into the PC. I'm setting up the network adapter for this PC. 10.1.10.4 I guess. Yes, /24 mask. And the default gate will be 10.1.10.1. yes, and the DNS resolution I will use my routers, the physical routers DNS resolution, which is this one, 192.168.1.1. alternative DNS 8.8.8.8. okay, let me make sure if I can ping the gateway. Ping 10.1.10.1. yes, I can ping the ASS ETH1, which is a gateway. Let me see if I can ping the ISE device. Ping 10.1.10.5. yes, I can ping the Cisco ISE as well. So let me see 10.1.10.5. yes, advance, proceed. Alhamdulillah, we are in the Cisco ISE console. Our username is admin and password is ISE123. okay, it's loading successfully. That means we are inside the Cisco ISE. Cisco.com ID. So I think my email address. Okay, I do not have any valid license. That's what it's telling. So still I will have a 90 days validation as a trial version. So I will accept and close. As you can see, I'm inside the Cisco ISE console now. But before I explode this, I will set up the enter lab first. Now with this, our step 1 is done. We'll moving forward to the next step. Now I will configure the remaining part of the ASA. So I have already configured the 8.1, the inside network. Now I have to configure the outside and other configuration as well. So here's the thing, I can really copy and paste. I really don't have to type. This way we can save time. So this part is already done. 10.1.10.1, and this part in the 8.0/0 we are assigning IPs from the DHCP. It is going to be assigned dynamically, so we don't know what exactly that's why I put X here. So let's try this. By the way, this command IP add DHCP set route, that means to set up a default route. We'll verify that. So let's copy this. Let's go to the ASA. We have to say no shut, and we can now verify. Show interface IP brief. So our IP is 1.30 here, so we can change it. Okay, show IP, show route, that means default route 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0.0, 192.168.1.1. Instead of typing this command, we said IP at DHCP set route. Okay, so our IP assignment is done. Now we have to write an object network, because we need to translate all the inside network with this outside interface, so it will be a dynamic path. We will have the translation via dynamically That's why it will be a dynamic path. The reason I'm saying path, whenever we use an interface to translate the whole network or an inside network, that is a path, port address translation. And anytime there will be a NAT, there will be access list and access group. So we need to write access list and access group. Access list is the restrictions or permissions, and access group is where you exactly setting this. So defining the interface where we want to set up these rules. So anyway, let's create the object network. Object network NAT inside. NAT inside is just a name. Subnet. I need to quickly modify this. 10.1.10.0, right? 10.1.10.0, yes. And I'm saying do the NAT translation for the inside network to the outside world and do this translation dynamically. And here is some verification. Show run object network, then it will show the object network. If I want to clear the configuration, I can say clear configuration object group or object network. I can also say show run object network. I can also say show run NAT. That should be show run. So let me copy this. Now we have to write down the access list. Access list NAT inside. Literally we are calling the object network name. Access list NAT inside extended. This is an extended access list, and I'm saying permit ICMP any. Either I can say ICMP or I can say IP any. IP includes a lot of services, so for now I'm just saying ICMP. And then access group, literally calling the same name again. I'm saying whatever I created NAT inside, this is for the inside network, but I apply this to the outside network. That is what I'm saying here. So I'm going to copy this. Also I'm going to share this prop with you guys so you can download and study this. And the last thing, allowing ICMP echo reply or updating the policy map. Now literally either we can say show run policy map, or we can actually go to the global policy map and then we can allow inspecting the ICMP, but that's like we literally have to write down 3-4 commands. But with this fix up protocol ICMP, that is literally I'm saying that. Here you go. What I'm trying to say is, this is a different lab by the way. Instead of saying all these 3 commands, policy map, global policy, class inspection default, inspect ICMP, I'm just saying in short, fix up protocol ICMP. It's the same thing. I can verify by saying show run policy map. I should see inspect ICMP. There you go. Now I can literally save it. By the way, let me see if I can ping the gateway. Ping 192.168.1.1. Alright, that means I would be able to ping Google as well. That's great. Alright, let's get back to the switch and we'll just do the basic configuration, but we still need to do one more configuration, which is the AAA radius authentication, but that would be the last step. For now, we'll just do the basic configuration, the initial configuration, like VLAN configuration and stuff like that. And we'll do a ping test with ISE. So switch enable configure terminal, and we'll name it hostname. Okay, and then we'll come here. We will also say no IP domain lookup to save our time so that it should not search for anything if there's any typo. And then we'll just use this IP address in the VLAN 1, in the native VLAN, and the commands are literally VLAN 1 name IC, just the description of the VLAN, interface VLAN 1, and then IP add 10.1.10.2, the way we do it. Do show IP interface brief. Okay, the VLAN is up. I guess the native VLAN will be always up. Things are a little different for native VLAN. Native VLANs are always up. So maybe we can do a ping test right now to the Cisco ISE. The IP address for ISE is 10.5. So ping 10.1.10.5. Yes, I can ping the ISE. So we can save. Right now we'll go back to our Cisco ISE console to do the radius and MAB authentication. Okay, now we're inside the Cisco ISE. We need to add our network device, which is this switch internal, for the radius and the MAB authentication. For this, I will go to administrator. I'm already in the administration, and then I will say network device. I wish I could have make it a little bit bigger, but I cannot. As you see, I have the internet reachability already because I have configured NAT in the ASA. Reason why I have been given the network access, internet access. Anyway, moving forward, add name of the device. I can say switch internal. I have literally kept the same naming convention as I have named in the Eveng for the switch. In description, I can keep the same thing, or I can say AAA authenticator, and IP address will be 10.1.10.2, the same IP address that we have assigned in VLAN 1, 10.1.10.2, right? That would be /24. mask, and then I will leave as it is by default. I will simply jump to radius authentication setting, shared key, I guess I have key here. Okay, I will give CCNA123. Let me type it down somewhere. Okay, all caps. So I'll put all caps, CCNA123. Okay, and port is 1700. As I said, I will leave everything as default, and then I will hit submit. Now we are done adding our network devices there. Switch internal. Now we are going to add an user in the AAA server. Going to the administration tab, we are in the administration. I do apologize for doing this. I cannot maximize the screen because there's a limitation for KME image. Anyway, administration, and then we need to go for identities. We need to look for identity management. There you go, identity management, and then we have to look for identities, and then we'll add a new user from here, and we'll give the name admin, and then the password will be AAA123, and that's it. And the user group will be all account, and then submit. Okay, so we have to change it. I cannot keep admin, so let's put CCNP. Let me change it here, CCNP. So our new user is CCNP, and then I will keep the same password, AAA123, and the group will be all accounts. That means for everybody, and then submit. Password must be satisfying for the following rules at least. Okay, password complexity. Let me ease this. So we'll go to here, settings. Okay, user authentication setting. Now we are removing the password complexity, username or its characters in reverse order. I'll untick this. Also I'll untick everything here. Save. Okay, now I will get back to identities. Add CCNP password. Login password is AAA123, AAA123 to all accounts. Submit. Okay, server response has been created successfully. That's okay. Now the next step will be adding the MAC address for the permitted devices to the authentication server or the radius server. So I will go to my Windows PC here, which is this device. This device is permitted, so I will go to ncpa.cpl details. Now this is the physical address, but let me see if I can copy from the command line. Okay, this is our MAC address, so let me copy this. Copy. All right, that's great. We have copied that. Okay, this time we have to go to the work center here, and then I guess identities. Yes, here. And now hit the add button. MAC address, paste, and I can say description Windows PC 2. Win PC 2 permitted. So also this is a client PC, CLIENT, client PC 2, and then I would say static group assignment. And what is this? Identity group assignment. Okay, let me see. Workstation looks okay. Save. Server response successful. We are almost in our last step in the IC server. We are done with pretty much all the stuff. Now we need to create some policy. We need to go to the policy. Yes, policy set. There's a default policy here, we can see. Let me go into this. So there is authentication policy here. Let me verify this. So wired MAB and wireless MAB is there. MAB stands for MAC address authentication bypass. We have both wired and wireless, and this authentication is based on .1Q or .1X. So there is .1X here, so we'll leave the default. This applies to all user ID stores internal endpoints, the MAB. That means that this MAC address. I need to go to that policy one more time. Policy set. We're in the default policy here. I'm looking for the basic authentication access. With this small screen, it is really getting challenging for me to verify all the policies there. Here it says network access authentication pass permit access. That is what I was looking for. If you want, you can tune from here, modify. I'll keep the default. So save. I don't have to save because I did not modify anything. Okay, now I'm in the last part to create the AAA authentication. So the first command is AAA new model. We are enabling this AAA new model here, and the second command is AAA authentication .1x default group radius. .1x is the protocol that we are using, so we are saying this radius server host. The host is 10.1.10.5, so we actually saying the radius server host, and then we are defining that, which is this one. 10.1.10.5, and then key. This is the same key that we have configured in our radius server. Remember, we have added a user named ccnp, and then we have given this here, ccnp and AAA123. We're saying this here, and then exit, and then we have to say .1x system auth control. Let me copy this. All right, after this is done, then we have to configure the interface, and then we are done. Interface range ETH 0/2 and 0/3, which is this and this for this two PC, and then switch port host. That means with this host command, this port will be access port, and that will disable all ether channel, and it will also enable the spanning tree PBST mode. And then we have to say authentication port control auto and authentication order MAB.1x. Again, we are mentioning this. As I said before, the MAC address bypass authentication will be based on the 802.1x or .1x, and then you have to say MAB.1x PAE authenticator exit. So we'll copy this. We are done. So let me save this. All right, saved. Now before I check this, I would like to go to PC1 as well, because we need to, at the same time we can test it. Let me configure the network adapter. Remember, our goal was to give this PC access to the internet, not the PC1. 10.3. Default gateway will be 10.1.10.1, 192.168 1.1 8.8.8.8. Okay, the network adapter is not giving internet access because I have only permission for this one, not for this one. You see, PC2 has internet access, but PC1 does not have any internet access. But let me verify one more thing here. I can say do show authentication session. No session currently exists. There is no session, but if I go to my Windows 2 PC here, this device has permission. So I will have to type services.msc, and then I have to look for word auto config here, and it says start type manual. I would say, and I would say automatic, and then I have to say start, apply. Okay, a different output here. Authentication failed for client, not sure why. Again failed. Well, I had to reboot the Windows PC because I was continuously getting authentication failed for client, and you know, the radius server 10.1.10.5 is not responding. So it was looking good to me, but I don't know what was happening. So I literally just simply reboot the Windows PC, and after that it is asking Windows security. So I guess I need to key in this credential ccnp. We have created this user in the IC console for the AAA authentication, and the password was AAA123. Yep, let me see what happens now. Okay, authentication failed. It says attempting to authenticate, but I see there is no connection from this Windows PC to the IC server. Let me do the ping test from the switch. Well, the switch can ping. I think there is some problem in the interface itself then. Let me review this again. Okay, the switch was not pinging, so I have literally initiated these two commands: no authentication port control auto and no authentication order MAB.1x. And after I have given this, now I can ping the IC server from this PC to the IC. But if still the network adapter cannot be authenticated through the IC, but that's okay. We need to troubleshoot first. We need to log into the IC via the browser, so that we can look into the policy and the configuration that we have configured. In order to do that, again, I had to initiate these two commands. So I literally had to add no before authentication port control auto, and again no before authentication order MAB.1x, so that I can postpone the authentication protocol for E0/3 and E0/2 interface, so that I can ping the IC. I can establish again a secure connection to the IC console. Okay, let's go to the identity service engine, admin, and then ISE123. I'm just verifying all the policies and all the configuration that we made in the Cisco ISE console. Few things that I have noticed. Let me show you from the beginning. Administration, network device. This is the network device that we have added before. This is literally the information about this switch. So I'll go here. Name is switch internal. We have given this name. Description AAA authenticator. IP looks okay. 10.1.10.2. This is literally the VLAN1 interface. /24 mask. Model name, I don't need this. So location, let me put yes here. IPsec, radius. Shared key is CCNA123. Now, I guess this is mismatching with this one here. Key AAA123. Let me put AAA here. AAA123. I'm matching with this. And then I will leave COA port 1700. Basically, I will leave everything else as the default. Save. Okay, saved successfully. Now let me put this command back. Well, I need to give this command first. Interface range is 0/2 and 0/3. I'm commanding for these two interface. And now I'm going to say this authentication port control auto, and authentication I'm saying use the Dot1X protocol for the MAB authentication. Anyway, I'm going to share this prop with you so you can actually study this. When I hit this command, let me see if there's ping reachability. You see the connection is broken now. Request timeout. I will one more time go to services.msc and then I'll look for wired connection, maybe wired auto config. I would say automatic, no, manual, sorry, automatic, apply, stop, and then I will say stop again. Yes, I can ping now. Great. Okay, now let me see this. If I disable this one and now enable, attempting to authenticate. Yes, I can ping to the ISC. Let me see if I can ping to the ISP, which is here. Our goal is to go here. Yes, I can go to the ISP. That means I can ping Google. Yes. I have the reachability to the YouTube. That means I have the internet connection. Alhamdulillah. That was literally our goal. Now we are going to verify some command from the switch. You see now there is no authentication error message. That means it has been authenticated. Enable IEEE 802.1x authentication. Perfect. Alright, we can verify this log session from the IC server. Let's get back to the IC server. From the burger menu on the left, we can go to the radius live logs. Now we can see March 28, 2023. Click for authentication detail report. Now if you see overview event 5200 authentication succeed. Username, this is the MAC address. Endpoint is the MAC address, I guess. Let me verify that. So this is the computer, Windows PC2, and we can run the command again. So this is our MAC address here, username and endpoint ID. Remember one thing, this authentication is fully based on the MAB, MAC authentication bypass and Dot1X. That is why we say it in here, MAB.onX PAE authenticator. The moment we are going to initiate this command, authentication order MAB.1X, the interfaces of the switch 03 and 02 is immediately going to be down, because then it needs to be authenticated with the IC server. And then we are saying MAB, and literally we have to execute by saying Dot1X PAE authenticator. So we have verified that the radius server is working, but we need to make sure that our switch, the radius authenticator, is also working perfectly. So we can initiate this command, test AAA group radius CCNP and CCNP legacy. Now we know that we have modified something here, AAA123. So we can copy, but I forgot what is the user. Let's verify this. So we can check from here. We need to go to the administration, then identify management, and then identities. Let's verify that. So we'll go to administration and then here, identify management and then identities. Here you go. The username is CCNP. Okay, so now we got our username. I guess that is case sensitive. So let me give this command right now. User was successfully authenticated. Alhamdulillah. That is what I was expecting. Okay, we can also see this from the radius server. I can go here, operations, live logs. Now we can see here the user CCNP got authenticated. There you go. Username CCNP, authentication method PAP, and the network devices switch, internal device type, all devices, and all these parameters. Let's also verify all this command. I can say show authentication session, and it is going to show me if the desired PC get 802.1x authentication. Yep, you see. Now previously, if I go back, you see all these error messages. Now if you see the output here, it kept saying failed, but see this time there is no error message. I can literally filter it out by calling the interface. Now if you notice here, .1x for Ethernet 0/2 PAE authenticator, and these are the parameters. Thank you for all your patience, and I hope you have liked this video. Please do subscribe, like and share, and also if you have any questions, please leave comments below and I will answer it. Thank you.